In the last video, we got our APP and MPP calculated. Now the fun part is going to be if we can figure out a way to get MPP and APP on our graph. So let's try this. Let's right-click on the graph and pick Select Data. And just out of curiosity, let's just simply select the entire mess here and see what we get. Okay, I can live with that, except to say that the problem that I run into is that APP and MPP are so small that you can't really see what's going on. So let's see if we can figure out some ways to cure that problem. One way would be to simply take our graph and expand it vertically. But that doesn't really work very well. Another way, which is probably the better way, would be to make two graphs. So let's try that. I suppose we can leave these down here, but let's simply try making two graphs. And let's position the second graph right under the first one. Alright, this could get tricky, but we will go with it. Insert, scatter, smooth curves again. Got a box. Going to move the box directly underneath the first box. Then, what we're going to do is we're going to select data. Add, series name, this is an interesting one. Let's call this series name APP. And let's select for the X value, you haven't seen this done yet, our nitrogen levels, like this. And then for the Y values, we're going to select boy, this is going to be a problem. I don't want to get that divide by 0 in there, but we'll fix that later on. Then, let's add MPP with the same X values. And the Y values being like that. Okay? The only problem we've got is we've got that APP curve going a little bit crazy on us. Okay? Everything looks pretty good, except that there are some things that don't look so good. Okay? One of the ways around the APP problem is to basically say, let's not make that a 0. Let's not make that a 0. Let's just put a blank space there and see what happens. That doesn't cure the problem. Well, what are we going to do? One way of doing that is to go back here, select the data, and say, on the APP, instead of using the X values starting at 0, let's be sneaky and use the X values starting at 10. Instead of using the APP values that cause us problems, let's start the APP curve at 10. Recognizing that we eliminate then the section of the curve that is wrong. This graph actually looks pretty good at this point. It's almost lined up. But let's do some things. Let's delete this APP that's hanging, and MPP that's hanging out there in a place we don't want. Let's get our horizontal axis to the point where it's fixed at the same 200 we used before. And then let's just quietly take this graph and pull it back so let's see if it's going to let me do this. This is funny. What I really need to do is I need to figure out a way to get this thing back so that the axes are exactly the same for both.